Now it's on. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the meeting. Thank you for coming, all of you. I'm sure we need to start with Pledge of Allegiance. Open session. Okay, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Do we have a motion, please, to approve the agenda?
So moved.
And a second. All those in favor? Aye. Great. The agenda is approved. Input from the public regarding items not on the open session, and that would be Kimberly Burr.
I'll talk loud. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm here because I've been working kind of steadily on trying to get the tennis courts and pickleball courts, kind of get them a little more attention. This is such a beautiful campus, and we've enjoyed it for many years as local residents and taxpayers, and just love the beautiful track and football field and soccer field and the diamonds, and now the parking lot's beautiful. So we're wondering if there's some way we can work on getting the tennis courts a little attention. And I've been gathering signatures to just show that there is community support for the courts to get some attention. I've spoken with the facilities manager, and she said that you guys had actually asked to get a little bit more information about that process of resurfacing the court. So I also came here to thank you guys for that, because that's a good place to start. I've applied to the Forestville Planning Association to get some seed money to support this, important community asset. It's just, one of those things that maybe there are not a lot of kids on this campus right now, but many leagues are using the diamonds and the ball fields and everything. So I think if the tennis courts and the pickleball courts had a little bit more usability, that we might also be able to bring people back to the courts in higher numbers. But yeah, no, the pickleball has been an active thing. We saw some kids who had just graduated, and they were there trying to play tennis on the wall. So we're not there every second of the day, so we don't know exactly what's going on, but we really do appreciate your support and interest, and we stand ready to be partners and do volunteer work and raise money. So we hope that you guys continue to support the idea, and thank you guys for all your hard work just being on the school board. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And Larry Hansen, please.
Hi, is this on or not on?
Check.
Yes, no?
Check. I don't know what's going on.
I can speak loud. I was a school teacher in Santa Rosa, Roseland School District, Shepherd School actually, for 31 years. So I know how to speak loud to the class. I never had one of these in my classroom. I've been a resident of Forestville for since 1977. How many years that is? Yeah. I don't want to know. So I use the yeah, always have used the campus, the library, the track. The track has been substantially improved, and I used to run the track, but now I walk the track, and it's a beautiful campus, and all the things that are provided, and so the tennis courts, you should know that the backboard is the best backboard of all of Sonoma County, and people will come here just for the backboard, and so over the years, again, so many I won't count them. I've, been able to pick up games, and now with pickleball, the popularity of pickleball is numerous. Tennis players are, um, falling back to, I say falling back to pickleball, but maybe a pickleball player will save going ahead. Anyway, the popularity of both is still very in vogue. And I advocate for uh, for the facility to bring along the uh, the use of the campus that has been upgraded everywhere else, and uh, the tennis courts need upgrading, and the pickleball. I will someday play pickleball, but not right now. Anyway, the community, I think, the Forestville community really deserves a tennis court, along with all the other beautiful facilities. I was going to say, we also go to the soccer games, the softball games, and all the myriad activities that go there. It's not lost on the fact that Forestville has a beautiful campus, and all of the areas, in any weekend, it's being filled with people and games and all that. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you very much. Okay, we move now to the consent calendar. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second, please.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Anything anybody wants to address, or can we move on the entire calendar? No comments? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Okay, consent calendar is approved. Action items. Action on items heard in closed session. Sean.
The board took action in closed session under agenda item number D1 to deny a 0.2 FTE leave of absence for a classified employee for the 2025-2026 school year. The vote was Buckner, nay; Trinella, nay; Fernandez, nay; Helton, nay; Katera, nay.
Thank you. Association reports. Ms. Smedshammer. Thank you. Julie. Oh, no. Well, okay. Yeah, Julie.
Julie McClelland, librarian. Always hard to be in this room, and I love being in this room. And chapter president, and just I'm excited. We got a tentative agreement signed, and you guys are looking at that tonight. So it was a 30-0 vote. So I feel like we did good work, and people understood. Our labor rep came and kind of explained some things that were a little bit different and new that people maybe didn't understand. So that seemed like it went really well. So thank you for that. And most people are finished. I'm working through Friday. The library's getting a little love this summer, so new carpet, new paint, and so I had to box up a lot of books, but we didn't box them. We got carts. So anyway, I think Jenny and Denise were kind of surprised and happily surprised today when they came in, and so looking forward to that happening and looking to maybe get some help on putting those back on the shelves when we come back. Have a great summer.
Thank you, Julie. Principals.
All right. Good evening. I'll be pretty short tonight. The kind of general theme of my report tonight is just gratitude. I wanted to start by just giving out a bunch of thank yous. Graduation at Laguna High School is, it's a big team effort. So lots of people in this room to thank. And Rio and Jeannie, thank you so much for handing out diplomas, and Linda for taking on the brave role of graduation roll call. Louis, thank you for coming, and Chris for your part that you always do. Dan for presenting the scholarships. I would be remiss if I didn't thank our donors who came and spoke and, so generous with the scholarship funds. And then lastly, the custodian crew. We met at 5 a.m. to start setting up chairs, and just super appreciative of everybody for their efforts and their role in that and putting on what I thought was a good event. Monday we start summer school, and I've been working with Violet and just kind of plugging kiddos into the Edgenuity system and trying to get help as wherever I can to get things set up there. So excited to, I know it's only been a few days, but maybe hopefully we'll have some kids on campus here in the library next week. So that'll be fun. Next week I'll also be attending a Big Picture Learning Conference. So I'm looking forward to that. We have a pretty good group of principals in Northern California as a network I'm a part of. So looking forward to getting together with them, as well as some other principals from across the country doing similar work, and good time to kind of debrief and, talk shop and see what other people are doing and see how we can elevate some of the things that we're doing here. And I think with graduation last Thursday, this is really kind of the final push as we prepare to open doors for the academy next year, which is very exciting, and lots of work to do, but I'm feeling confident and feeling really grateful. We've hired some amazing educators in Cole Smith and Lee Camoin. We're getting together this week, and we'll continue to work over the summer. So excited about the work to be done there. And, with that said, I want to thank Jenny and Denise. I know the campus has been mentioned a lot already tonight, but it looks amazing and bunch of work happening. And thank you, Jenny and Denise. You guys have made it, really easy, even from when we were in the school year, just limiting the impact on Laguna and letting us know when everything's happening. I think in terms of as smooth as construction can be, it's been relatively smooth. So thank you for that. And then the last thing, I just, I want to thank our Laguna staff. We really have an incredible staff, and really appreciative of everybody's hard work and dedication. And as a small school, we, everybody wears many, many different hats. And I'm just continually amazed by the commitment and passion and flexibility of everybody on our staff. So, that's kind of the gist of my report tonight. So I hope everybody has a great summer, and thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Chuck?
Good evening, Chuck Wade, Annalee High School. Since our last site report, we have had many events. We had a staff party recently, celebrated the retirees that you honored here last meeting. Had some yummy catering from Jamila from Jam's Joy Bungalow, if you remember that place, Sebastopol Plaza. In addition to honoring the retirees, I did want to note that students presented some awards to staff. So as part of the award ceremonies, we surveyed students for the award categories as well as the awardees. So we had 2 awards for community builders, Nancy Williams and Sarah Piccolo. We had an award for Spirit Lifter, Jared Brown. And we had an award for the coziest vibe, and that went to Blake Leibovitz. In addition, senior and underclass awards ceremonies took place. I want to thank, in particular, Louis Mora, Willie Lepori, Stacy Fortin, Don Drew, and Christy Carlson for a tremendous amount of work for the senior award ceremony, which is a big event. We also enjoyed our Day on the Green. Thanks to Jared Brown, a leadership team, for putting that together. We had outdoor games, volleyball and spike ball, among others, large inflatable water slides, and my personal favorite, the dunk tank. And of course, we had graduation. I want to thank especially Sandra Jones for organizing this truly massive event. A lot of moving parts. Also, special shout out to Rachel Ambrose and Joe Elwood for reading the names super efficiently this year, I thought, and yet accurately and with real passion that makes every student feel celebrated. I think they do an amazing job with that and kept us moving quickly and got us out on time. So we are about one hire away, I think, from being fully staffed at Annalee, and we're pretty close on that one. We'll have new teachers next year in English, social science, science, world language, and a couple in special education, as well as a new paraeducator. I'm super excited for you to meet those folks. Once again, I feel like we have an incredibly talented incoming teacher pool, mostly with quite a bit of experience and really accomplished educators. So I'm super excited for those folks to join our staff. Speaking of accomplished educators, admin team and TOSAs have been working together to prepare for support for many of the teachers I told you about last month who will be engaging in professional development this summer. We have 27 teachers, I believe, almost 40% of our staff who are working on their own professional development goals. Primarily supported by strong workforce funds to enable paid work this summer around integrated curriculum development and a lot of standards-based grading work. We have 3 teams, as I think I mentioned last time as well, participating in week-long project-based learning training with industry partners. Kai Hamlin, our sports medicine teacher, will be pairing up with Kim McCory, who teaches anatomy for us. We're excited about that project. Clay Pafford, our construction teacher, will be working with both Seth Gleckman in English and Ashley Vilchis, our English language development teacher. And Jenny Mason, our engineering and manufacturing teacher, will be working with Taylor Dobbins from science. They'll all create integrated project-based learning experiences for their students and then share their work with the rest of the team at the site next year. We'll also have a number of people working on standards-based grading this summer, and they'll create shareable resources for staff for next year. We also have our first 9th grade integrated cohort teachers, Words and Wonders folks, Blake Leibovitz and Ari Stur, working. I worked with them a little bit today and saw some of their projects so far. They are making incredible progress around curriculum mapping, really lining up what they do, learning about each other's work, and creating targeted experiences for that cohort of students that they're going to have in common next year. We're super excited about all of this learning that's happening this summer, and really grateful to all the teachers for digging in and being willing to take it on. Thanks for supporting the work and making it happen.
Thank you for all the innovation. It's really exciting. Board member reports. Rio.
Sure, yeah, I just wanted to give a big shout out to students and teachers and staff and admin for getting through the school year, and the graduations were great to see, and just hats off to everyone involved in that as well, and also thanks to Andrew for spending some time going through the budget with me as well.
I want to also say I so enjoyed graduation this year, both the Laguna one and the Annalee one, and I was so proud of myself that I got all those names out right that time. First 2 days were not as pretty. So I really thought I was so impressed at the difference in the campus that you guys made between Tuesday to Thursday morning was incredible. And so it was beautiful, all the flowers and everything. It was really a very nice thing. I also went to the band concert and was my first impression, because I was in band when I was at Annalee, and it was almost 200 people strong at that point. It was, oh my God, they're so small. but they were so mighty. And I so loved the music and how wonderful they all sounded. It was incredible. It was just, such a wonderful experience to sit there and listen to them. I was very proud. So I think that's all. It was great. Congratulations on everybody making it through another year.
I don't have anything, Liz.
So, first of all, I attended the Sebastopol FFA banquet. Was a very nice evening. It actually was a really warm evening. And they did part of it out in the quad and then part of it in the theater. So that was very nice. I went with Linda to the Anley Band concert and I felt the same way. I first was thinking, oh my, there's so few kids, but wow, it was wonderful. And the strings, there was 12 kids, I think, and they were just amazing. I mean, I've never even thought about playing a string instrument, so it's kind of awe-inspiring. But Casey told us that they've got, I think, going to have 20 kids next year. So that was just, they were phenomenal. You ever get a chance to go listen to one of their concerts, you've got to go. I attended the Anley Senior Awards. I was asked to give a welcome from the board. And I really appreciate that. I actually gave a Dr. Seuss-esque kind of poem about moving forward and got a few giggles when I told the audience that was my favorite author and probably many of theirs. Anyway, that was really nice, and I really appreciate the offer to be able to speak. And at that evening, I also handed out some of the 4-H Foundation Awards, which is one of my other volunteer jobs. I also attended the Laguna graduation, and as you heard, got to hand out diplomas and shake hands. It was really nice being involved this year, and Linda and I both also got to hand out some scholarships, and that was really nice too. So thank you, Greg, and you can thank Shannon too. It was really nice to have some sort of a role. It was great. Anley, the Anley evening was really great. I was really honored to be able to represent the class of 1975 from the class 50 years ago, and with 3 of my classmates. So that was really nice. And then hand out diplomas. I think we each shook about 150 students' hands. I thought my hand was going to fall off. Some kids, they just give you this little thing. And then some of them come in with this really hearty handshake. Even a couple of the girls, I was like, whoa, he's got one kid about almost pulled me off my feet. He gave a really heavy duty handshake. It was great. I have to say it was pretty chilly towards the end there, and I think we were all really glad that it got over. The thing that I think sent everybody over the top was the confetti. That was epic, just epic. People that didn't go to school, that weren't even there, heard about it and have told me about it and said, "Were you there? Did you see that?" And I was like, "Yeah, it was pretty awesome." So that was really great, Chuck. So it was a great month, very busy month. I'm so looking forward to a little bit more of a quiet summer. Thank you very much.
It was awful.
Yeah.
It was awful.
You guys come back,
We couldn't do anything with it. It was a dumpster fire. It was everywhere. I took video and sent it out when it's everywhere in the neighborhood, in the storm drains. But it made our tires really pretty.
Only the bright side.
Yeah. Did you see the tire picture? Like,
I'll be
It was fun.
super brief. I'm really pleased with what we've accomplished this year. Everything's not always easy, but I really think we're on the right track, and I'm really proud of teachers and staff and administration and board and students, and feel like there's quite a bit of cohesion, and I'm really grateful for that. So thank you.
Nice. I'll
start by thanking our CSEA labor partners for another successful negotiations process. I'd like to extend a huge thanks to all of our staff for the support and care they provide to our students and each other during another successful school year. So I agree. I feel good about the work that we've done this year. Commencement ceremonies were amazing, and they always remind me of our why, the students. Congratulations to the class of 2025.
Okay, thank you, Chris. We are moving on to education services, public hearing regarding LCAP. And it's just a public hearing, so public hearing. Do we have comments from the public regarding the LCAP?
You're going to hear about that during comment. Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to say that's the end of the public hearing. Thank you very much, Julie, for at least chiming up. Yeah. But you have a report. Yeah, tell us.
Yep. Jenny's going to queue up the slides. There's 20. I'll run through them pretty quickly. There's some that I'll let you all just soak in some data. I'll start by saying it was an amazing process. Nicole Wilkinson actually facilitated the ed partner engagement process. Unlike last year where we had 6 meetings developing a brand new 3-year LCAP and building a strategic plan and not just a compliance document, the process wasn't quite as robust in terms of volume, but it was robust in terms of what we were able to produce and the input that we were able to gather. Nicole also took it a step further. So we had 3 ed partner meetings. I'd like to thank everybody that participated in those meetings. But she took it a step further and went deeper into meeting with students and staff on campus during the workday, specifically around the eligibility for differentiated assistance. Jenny, not the LCAP, but the slide deck.
Oh, I apologize.
That's okay.
Let's go get that.
As she's queuing it up, the first slide is just to recognize and reemphasize the new mission that we developed last year. And the mission of the district is to provide equitable, high-quality instruction and opportunities that ensure all students have the tools they need to thrive. And we know our students have become incredibly diverse over the last several years.
About this one.
Goal 1 and Goal 2 remain the same. Actions remain the same. As you recall from last year and for the new trustees, we folded in about $23 million into our LCAP. And the LCAP, you get supplemental funding for your unduplicated students, and that's your English language learners, your low-income students, and your homeless foster youth students. And that pot of funds is about $1.5 million. So prior LCAPs really only dealt with that funding and those program and staffings that went along with that. So we've encompassed much of our staffing, many of our educational programs that meet the overall strategic plan of the district. Goal 1 is provide a responsive, evidence-based, multi-tiered system of supports to maximize student achievement, foster authentic student and family engagement, and create a positive school climate. Goal 2, strengthen innovative, equitable opportunities for academic rigor, career preparation, and personal development so all students successfully attain the characteristics of a portrait of a graduate. Within each of those 2 goals are a number of actions that were condensed from prior LCAP, so they're more overarching actions. In the LCAP, you'll see a reflection of dollar amount, what that particular dollar amount is funding, and whether it's contributing or non-contributing, meaning is it coming from that 1.5 million of supplemental, or is it coming from a different funding source? So we pulled many funding sources into the LCAP to really recognize and demonstrate all that we do within our strategic plan. You can go to slide 5.
Right there.
We had, as I mentioned, 3 ed partner meetings in addition to all the great work that Nicole did. One slide back, please.
One slide, sorry.
That's okay.
Trying to catch up with you.
So in the first meeting, we really dug into where we are eligible for differentiated assistance. We reviewed and analyzed data, and we conducted a root cause analysis. In meeting 2, we reviewed the goals and actions. We reviewed the single plans for student achievement, the SIPSAs, for both Laguna and Annalee, and we looked at potential new actions or different things that we could fold into those actions. And it was great because Nicole took a lot of input from both the SPED departments and the ELD department. So I want to thank Brooke Bell and Ashley Vilchis
providing a lot of great recommendations, things that they wanted to see continue within the LCAP and the strategic plan and their pie in the sky wish list. And the reason we focused on those two student groups, because that's where the eligibility is for DA, which I'll get to in the next slide. In the final meeting, we reviewed the draft of the LCAP, and much of the LCAP has not changed. We had to address the different data points. We had to address some differences in terms of funding. We had to acknowledge anything additional that we were going to be providing to students to address the differentiated assistance eligibility, and that's a requirement when the LCAP is approved by SCO. Looking at Ed Partner recommendations, we did that over the course of 2 meetings. In meeting 2, focusing on SPED. In meeting 3, or sorry, vice versa. Meeting 2, focusing on long-term English learners in the ELD program. And in that 3rd meeting, really digging into SPED. And then we looked at any possible revisions. A snapshot at, next slide, please. Our eligibility for differentiated assistance is based on the California dashboard indicators. And if you have 2 student groups that are in red, or any student group in red for more than one dashboard indicator, then you're eligible. So our eligibility were students with disabilities and long-term ELs. Which dashboard indicators? Math, suspension, ELPI, and college and career readiness. And that's English Language Progress Indicator for ELPI. Sorry for the acronym. How are we addressing these needs? Through our continued efforts of building and maintaining a restorative culture, our cohorted model, we believe that what Chuck spoke to in his principals report, as we grow that, it's going to provide more opportunities for students to have core content and CTE integration. A push-in model, you know, we put a lot of effort into that, and we're going to continue that in the future year. Academic support classes will look a little bit different because we'll have standard academic support classes this year for Gen Ed students, as well as some SPED students if it's an appropriate placement. And then we will also have academic support classes for SPED only. Those developments are going to help us address where these students didn't do so well in terms of the dashboard indicator. Next slide. You know, we analyze the dashboard in terms of math, English, suspension rate, graduation rate, college and career, chronic absenteeism. There's a number of different factors that go into developing the LCAP, because you've got to speak to and address and update your metrics. So there's for each goal and action, there's attached metrics, and you'll see in the LCAP a baseline, which is where we were last year, year 1 outcomes, the goals for where we'd like to be for all those metrics when we finish this 3-year LCAP. And then there's a new column, distance from baseline. So that was kind of cool, because as you unpack that and did the math, it gave us some clear numbers that Nicole, Chuck, our other TOSAs, our administrators can share with their staff in terms of areas for growth and how we can further support students that are furthest from opportunity.
Is this year's data?
This is this year's data, correct. And I do want to address, Jenny, if you stay on this slide, we saw some tremendous growth in our ELA and math scores last year. This took us down into where I did an average over the course of 5 years when we saw the dashboard results, because we were all disappointed. But I think that we will see, I'm confident, some growth in both math and English scores. And I want to give a huge shout out to Kirsten Sanft and how hard she worked with the students and the staff to prepare for a better CAS testing process. What we learned is that many of our highest achieving students opted out of testing last year. Many of our AP students, for one reason or another, chose not to test. These scores can last year, which is based on this year's data. Yeah. So I think understanding that and really leveraging an opportunity there to strengthen our process, hopefully we see some growth. But cohort to cohort, it's going to fluctuate. But this is about where we were several years ago. So we hope to see some improvements. The next slide shows what's known as the 5x5 grid on the dashboard, and just gives you a snapshot of where various student groups scored within the different indicators. This slide deck is now attached to the agenda as well. Next slide, please. Made some significant growth in suspension. That was an area in which we were in differentiated assistance last year. So that kind of depicts where all the different student groups were. I think that's a testament to doing some really good work at the restorative level, but also building culture on campus. Where we need to do better is with our LTELs. And so that's an area of growth that we discussed through the engagement process and through the revisions of our actions and some of that language that you'll see in the draft LCAP. Some suspension data continued. Where you see no performance color, that means that there weren't enough students to indicate some data, right? The English language learner progress indicators. So LTELs, not doing great. ELs, there was no performance color, obviously, because of the number of students. So 32% making progress. We declined by 29.9 points. There were 25 students in that cohort. So many of our conversations have been, how can we provide more support? Well, a few months ago, the board approved $30-some thousand in new ELD curriculum. I believe that was actually last month. We've purchased a program called Love Voice. We've also purchased a program called IXL to support differentiation within the English department, as well as SPED Math. So we think that that's going to support the DA and where we are seeing some significant areas for improvement. Math, you can see the different subgroups and how we scored there. I think, again, it's just a matter of the equity component, the fact that we are very diverse, and we want all students to have opportunities to be successful. So, you know, typically we might see students with disabilities or socioeconomically disadvantaged students not scoring so well, but we also saw our white student subgroup suffer a bit in math. And so we're going to put quite a bit of effort into improving that. And I think through the process of CASP and the work that the administration and staff did to support those students and encourage all students to participate in the test, we'll show some growth there. We made some significant growth in the college and career indicator as compared to last year, with 206 out of 425 students deemed prepared. The next slide, so you can see how the subgroups look there. There are a number of different opportunities to provide better indicators there. You know, CTE pathway completion. Historically, we've had a number of different CTE options, but articulated pathways and encouraging students to complete those pathways and setting up 4-year plans and scheduling that really allows for that, and a master schedule that allows for that. And I know one thing Chuck has worked very hard on with the staff at Annalee is having more depth than breadth on the master schedule. I think we'll see more CTE completers as we articulate that master schedule in those pathway programs. So yeah, we were proud of some of that growth there. What measures are in the college and career indicator? It's okay. So I spoke to this a little bit. You got CTE pathway completion, SBAC, college credit course. We're doing something wrong in terms of entering data for our students that are dual enrolled. Now, this is a little bit different from CCAP. We have students each and every year that take classes at the JC. So Chuck and I have been working on figuring out what's going on there. Heidi's been involved in that conversation. Nicole, we worked with some other districts in the county. We also got some feedback from our WASC visiting committee. The principal from St. Helena said, hey, there's no reason you shouldn't have data indicating there. So we're working to fix that so we can acknowledge the amazing work of our students who are taking college courses. AP also dings indicator scores. A through G is met UC CSU requirements, state seal of biliteracy, and work-based learning. And we're working on how we can show some data on work-based learning as well. We do. The next several slides are going to talk a little bit about youth truth. So we saw some growth in many of the key questions. Connectedness to school. So last year, 77% said they try to do their best. We saw a little decline there, but relatively flat. Parents said they feel engaged at school. 39% last year, 44% this year. Staff, this one was big. 76% last year, 87% this year. So we're really proud of the results there. Next slide. School safety, some growth, 2% from students, parents, almost 10%, and staff, 2% growth. So, safety is always our number one priority. Parent input stayed flat. We want to continue to provide those opportunities. I know the principals are doing a great job with their ELAC, with their site council, their SIPSA processes, ed partner engagement. There's always more room for us to get parents involved in our decision making. Okay, so root cause analysis. What is that? I mean, that's a key component of how we start the LCAP every year. It's really digging in. What is the root cause as to why our students aren't feeling success or having success as demonstrated by those metrics. So this was just an example of an exercise that Nicole put us through, and it's kind of cool. You start off with, okay, a car won't start because the battery is dead, because the alternator isn't charging. So you don't jump to solutions. You keep focusing on the problems, and that helps you come to a conclusion of how you can address that. So it's really just deep thinking. So I just wanted to give you an example of an exercise that we did together during our ed partner meetings. Next slide, please. So here is the fishbone activity that accompanies the root cause analysis and some of the feedback that we got from our students, parents, and staff through the ed partner engagement. So disengagement, disconnected from school, lack of curricular relevance, social emotional challenges, mental health, poverty and homelessness, chronic absenteeism, transportation, students have to work, social emotional challenges, mental health, discrepancy between statewide results and graduation rate, lack of programs and or services to support students' four-year plans, lack of articulation, and then down below, engagement with counselors, lack of customized four-year plans, uncoordinated student onboarding process, and I know that the site and the counseling team and administration are working to address that. So those are the components that go into making the revisions. The revisions in this draft will continue to be revised. We met with SCO on Friday. SCO ultimately has to approve our LCAP after the board adopts it. We have another meeting scheduled with SCO on July 17th. I want to thank the SCO team for providing a better level of support and doing some homework prior to our meeting. And they created a document after going through our LCAP that really shows us where we might need to add some language. It's a strong LCAP as is. The revisions will be minimal, just a few things to update and address the compliance component of this. But I'm really, really proud of this LCAP. It was developed through a dynamic process last year, and this year, going through it on my own with my team was a really enriching experience, and it helped me dive deeper into some of the data points that I don't think about on a daily basis, and really, really look at those students who are farthest from opportunity while addressing even our most highest achieving students. And one thing I think that I really encourage staff to do is engage a little bit more with this LCAP. And I tried to demonstrate during the last professional development day, I went through and acknowledged everything and everyone that our staff does that's tied to this LCAP, because it didn't completely change what we have done here over the years, right? When I say new strategic plan, different way of doing it, more dynamic, it also continues a lot of the foundational amazing things that we've done here in this district for many years, while addressing the areas where we need to meet the needs of our current students. So this will come back to you in adoption form on the 25th. I'll be working hard on this next week with the feedback that we've received from SCO. SCO did acknowledge last year that we had one of, if not the strongest LCAP in the county. So we're going to continue that through this next 3-year cycle, make the changes, make the revisions, and do the hard work at the sites.
Thank you. That's impressive. It's really come a long way. 3 years ago, I was invited to come be part of the parent input for the LCAP, and it was a one-shot thing. And I showed up, and I was given a copy of the LCAP and said, "Here, you have 15 minutes to read this, and now we want your comments." So what we see here is so much more evolved and in depth, and I'm looking forward to 3 years from now. It'll be better. So thank you.
Thank you.
Consideration of approval of Resolution 29, Pride Month.
I'd first like to note that I made an error here. This is actually resolution number 30. And when adjusting and revising, what's that? So it is 29. Okay. So it is 30 and 31 then. Okay. So Jenny will adjust that there. Just want to make note, doesn't change what we're doing
Okay,
today.
fine.
And then the resolution that I have for y'all to sign, I accidentally left Julie's name down at the signature after adding the new trustees. So we missed Julie, but that was just an oversight by my part. So,
At a graduation, Jeannie was the new president.
but no changes have been made other than to update the year. I think that we're really, really proud of our student activist groups and the folks that really brought this to the board, and also the board for their thoughtful process in terms of really looking at policy. So we just want to, as we discussed last year, continue to adopt this resolution and recognize June as Pride Month. Per the resolution, the pride flag flies on May 22nd, and then the board adopts the resolution in June. So nothing's changed other than we're going to keep up this good work.
So nothing to approve.
You do have to approve the resolution, and it is a roll call.
And just to be clear, Jenny, you don't have to change yours. This will just be 31.
Good, even better.
Why do we approve it now, midway through June per se?
Because this was the first June meeting. We could have done it in May, which we did, I believe, last year. We did it in June and flew it in May. But we can, if the board would like, I can bring it in May prior. Sometimes the resolution recognizing that particular month will come in the month that we're recognizing, and then it'll fall on whatever the board agenda day is. So if the board would like me to bring this ahead of time in May, I can do that.
I mean, I think it makes more sense to me going into the month knowing that it's been
Makes sense.
it's
Yeah.
Pride Month.
So
So
next year.
Next year, I'll bring it in May.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you, Rio.
Anyone else? All those in favor?
Oh, roll
Oh,
call.
roll call. Sorry. Oh, okay.
Motion.
Okay, thank you, Jeannie. Would you like to make a motion?
Yes, I move that we approve resolution
30.
31, 29, June 24, 25.
I'll second.
Second, Rio. Discussion. All those in favor? Oh, I'm sorry. Rio, Linda, Sean, Jeannie, Louis, aye. Thank you. Thank you for keeping me on track. Consideration of approval of new course requests.
Want a motion?
Do we have a motion, please, to approve new course requests?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay.
This is our basic process. Looking at our course sequence for science, we previously approved biology. After hiring our science teacher, you can go in different sequences there. We also wanted to approve ahead of time earth, space, and environmental science, which was both offered at Annalee and Laguna. For Laguna High School, you've got two new courses that Greg is proposing, History Day and Math. And for Annalee High School, you've got Instrumental Music and Production. And that class will be taught by Casey Jones, replacing his PR TOSA position that was Prop 28 funded and will be funded by Prop 28.
So we need to approve. Yes.
Yep.
Any discussion? As,
No, you can approve them as an item.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Okay, course requests are approved. Human Resources. Consideration of approval of tentative agreement between West Sonoma County Union High School District and the California School Employees Association, Chapter 172. Dan.
All right, thank you. Well, I want to echo both Julie and Chris's comments about how great it is to be able to sit at the negotiating table and negotiate in the way that we were able to this year. We made the same comments regarding WSCTA. The CSCA representatives, along with their CSCA rep, Jeremy Arnold, were great to work with. As always in negotiations, there's going to be issues that are thornier than others, but the way that we were able to work through those and get to what we think is a really strong agreement, very thankful for that. So thank you. All right. We reached the agreement, as Julie said, it has been ratified by a 30-0 vote of the membership. So we were very pleased to see that as well. Some of the highlights that I want to point out before having you vote on that, we agreed to a 4% increase on the CSEA salary schedule for all ranges. There was an addition of a number of new classifications that are now eligible to receive the 2-range increase for passing a bilingual test for English and Spanish for speaking skills. There were some classifications that already were eligible for that in our previous collective bargaining agreement. We added to that this year for those positions that we also felt that that was a benefit to have employees who are bilingual. We added, we've changed the way that we're doing differential pay, which is a very significant change, but one that we think will be both very beneficial to employees, but also will sort of streamline what can be a very, quite honestly, messy process sometimes when people are on long-term or out for an extended injury or illness. So after an employee has exhausted their available leaves, they would then have 100 days that would be compensated at 50% of the employee's regular hourly wage. So this is kind of called the 100-day rule in Ed Code, and we feel that this was a major step forward in the way that those those type of situations don't come up often, but when they do, we think this will be a much better way to address those and provide support to those employees who need those extended leaves. We made an adjustment to our bereavement leave policy. Before, there was a distinction made between how far someone had to travel when a family member were to pass. We've eliminated that to make it simply 5 days, regardless of the distance required to be traveled. And we've also expanded to align with the WSCTA contract as to who constitutes immediate family. We've also streamlined our sick leave process. So the 10 days of regular sick leave that employees will receive, or prorated depending on their FTE, can be used annually for personal necessity at the employee's discretion with no explanation or restriction. In the past, there have been a certain number of days that can be used with no explanation, certain number of days that can be used with explanation and approval, and others for sick. So we've just streamlined that to make it all personal necessity. And then embedded in this tentative agreement are 2 new positions that we've talked about previously. So you'll see the MOUs attached there. One is the creation of a new administrative assistant 4 classification to serve as the administrative assistant to each of the schools co-located here on the El Molino campus. So since we're opening the Academy of Innovative Arts, we felt it warranted not necessarily a reclassification, but a newly created classification to serve both the new academy as well as to continue to serve Laguna High School. And then that position will also support the West County Eye Academy as well as summer school. And then finally, the creation of a new business services clerk classification to perform basic accounting methods and procedures relating to the district accounts and general budgets of the school site. So that position would be based out of the district office there. So those are the major points of this tentative agreement. And I would be happy to take any questions that you have.
We need to get a motion.
Can we have a motion, please, to approve the tentative agreement? Well, approve the agreement.
So moved.
Second? I'll second. Okay, beat you to it.
Mhm.
Discussion questions for Dan? Anybody?
Good work.
Yeah,
Yeah, great job.
yeah, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Can I just note something? It was noted that we did have a typo in consent item number 2. The item title reads 2023-2024 school year for legal services. That should reflect 25-26, I believe, because that's what it says down in the item. So I just wanted to note that. I'm putting in the minutes. Board doesn't need to do anything. Just wanted to make that transparent.
Thank you.
This next item is a HR item, but it actually is an item that our CBO will be talking about.
So we need approval, so we should have a motion, yeah. We have a motion, please, to approve AB 1200.
I move that we approve AB 1200.
And a second, please? Second, okay.
All right, so the public disclosure document has been provided. It's been, we've reviewed it. It looked at the second interim taken what those additional costs will be with this negotiated agreement, projected a new MYP as part of this document, shared that with SCO. SCO has reviewed it. Superintendent, CBO have signed, stating that we do have funds to afford what we have negotiated. So we just need approval. AB 1200.
Discussion or questions for Andrew? All those in favor? Aye. Great. Okay, the next one is the MOU between West Sonoma County and the WSCTA. Dan?
Motion.
Oh, motion, sorry.
I move that we approve the MOU between the West Sonoma County Union High School District and the West Sonoma County Teachers Association work calendars for the teachers on special assignment.
Second.
Second, thank you, Linda.
So this is in essence a renewal of a prior MOU that has been in place for the past 2 years, actually. And so we have an agreement with WSCTA that TOSAs, rather than work the exact 186-day work calendar of other WSCTA members, that they have the ability to flex that to some degree. There are some restrictions, as you'll see in the MOU, on that. But basically, given the unique nature of the various TOSA positions, both parties agree that it makes sense for them to have some ability to flex their time and work outside of the typical 186-day calendar of a WSCTA member. So that's the MOU on the table.
Discussion, questions? All those in favor? Aye, thank you. Okay, then there's another approval of MOU. Do we have a motion, please, for the MOU between the district and WSCTA regarding psychologist, nurse, and speech salary schedule? Motion,
So moved.
second, thank you.
So this MOU is really being brought forward to address a loophole that was brought to us. One of our school nurses in the district approached us with an issue. We've been trying for quite some time, as you're maybe aware, to recruit school nurses. It's a position that can sometimes be very hard to fill. And because of the way in particular that school nurses receive their credential, you do have a number of times where nurses will be credentialed school nurses, but they will not have 30 units beyond their bachelor's degree. As a result, the salary schedule did not really have a place to put a school nurse who was in that particular situation. So the non-credential sort of intern position wasn't appropriate and gives no room for growth. And so therefore they were sort of in this limbo area of nowhere to be placed and nowhere to grow in terms of salary. So we felt the easiest way to address that, and we discussed this and got agreement. In fact, I think it was Lily who first suggested this as one possible solution to this, was to simply, in column 2 of the existing salary schedule, eliminate the plus 30 on the specialist salary schedule. So it is now just BA and of course a credential. And then column 3 is still BA plus 60 units. So that was the solution we came up with. And I will say that I just did an onboarding with a school nurse this morning who fell exactly in this category and would not have been able to come to us had we not made this adjustment. So so it already has borne some fruit, just the knowing that potentially this would be what we'd be moving towards.
Great. Any questions? All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Consideration of approval of management salary schedule for 25-26. Do we have a motion? And a second.
Second.
Linda, thank you.
Second.
Okay, this is actually being brought back to you. This was approved at a prior meeting. However, our wellness coordinator, after that approval and in the process of signing employment agreements for next year, requested and has been granted by the district a reduction in days from 210 days to 200. So given that, we needed to adjust and amend the salary schedule. So you have that newly adjusted. It shows the old 210 days. It's, there's no other changes to this. There's no increases or anything, just a reduction in days and the commensurate reduction in salary for the wellness coordinator.
Okay. Any questions about that? All those in favor? Thank you. Consideration of approval of employment agreements for certified and classified administrators for 25-26. Do we have a motion?
So moved. Oh, second.
Thank you, Linda. Dan?
All right, and then these are the employment agreements for our certificated and classified administrators. The administrators and managers that are a part of this item include the continuation and alternative education principal, executive director of human resources, director of facilities, bond and technology, the Annley High School vice principals, the wellness coordinator, the Annley High School principal, and the district director of special education and student services. And as was noted at a prior meeting, there were no additional dollars added to any of the salaries. The only increases that any of these individuals had were if they were eligible for a step increase this year. And so that will be reflected in those employment agreements.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Business services, public hearing regarding West Sonoma County Union High School District proposed budget for 25-26 and reserve transparency disclosure. Public hearing is now open.
All right, I can present the information if you'd
Please.
like to do that. All right, so just kind of the processes. We've heard the LCAP for the public hearing earlier. We have this public hearing for the budget. Separate meeting will be, of course, on the June 25th for the adoption of both items. The next slide, as we look at the basis of building the budget for the upcoming year and the out years, of course, it's based off of the projection of the enrollment. There has been an update for 27-28 versus what was posted on Friday. Had 50 additional students that were in 27-28, which would have been a great thing, but that's for actually 28-29. So just had the wrong column entered on Friday's information. But we're looking at 16-18 for next year, moving to 16-75 for 26-27, 17-37 for 27-28. As we look at the average daily attendance as to what we will be funded off of next year, currently we're being funded off of the 3-year rolling average, funded at 1462, but our actual current ADA is 1446. As we move into next year and the 2 subsequent years, we're going to be funded off of the current year as the projected ADA with AIA coming on board will put us to our current year average daily attendance being higher than the prior year or the 3-year rolling average. And so we see that playing out within those next years. Overall, if we look at it, it's probably an average of 91.9%, but we are banking on AIA being at 95% and 30 students enrolled. Should that not happen, we will address in fall, what is the current enrollment for fall? What is the current average daily attendance happening through CBEDS when we make the adjustments for first interim? As we go to the next slide and looking at how the average daily attendance is coming out through the local control funding formula based off of the May revise and the LCFF calculator with COLA for next year at 2.3% and then moving forward at 3.02 and then 3.42 for those 2 subsequent years. You see that we continue to increase local control funding over each year. This next current year, we're about $900,000 and about 1.4 and then 1.6 in those out years, currently projected based off of projected enrollments and average daily attendance as we see those coming through right now. Just on the next slide is just the overall looking at what are those different funding sources that are making up the entire budget. And then we still hopefully with the legislature putting forth their budget and now reconciliation to what the governor wants in the final budget, to see how some of those one-time dollars do come back into the budget. So they have not been updated into here, but we hope that there will be some additional funding coming in. As we look at the assumptions for expenditure assumptions on the next slide, looking at the FTE and as what is our largest expenditures, for our budget, our staffing, and in this projected budget, we have not put in any FTE reductions for the 2 subsequent years. We want to really take a look at what's going to happen in the fall with enrollments, where we're at with ADA, and then work together to identify what do we need to do instead of just kind of plopping some numbers in and going, this is what we hope to accomplish, without really having conversations around what we need to do programmatically. We're looking at the consortium is expanding, which changes kind of that perspective of what's happening with FTE. So if I just put FTE as saying, here's where we are last year, we're at 100, and now we're going to be at 120, or I didn't do the calculations there, over 100, it looks like we're growing. But the high school is actually changing FTE, but the consortium is growing. So you can see in this slide and in the narrative as to where consortium's making those increases in FTE, but the high school is actually making some reductions in FTE. So overall, I mean, if we look for 24-25, we had 186.6 FTE. And then next year we're going to 198, but that's really the increases from consortium, not at the high school. As we look at expenditure assumptions on the next slide, looking at the one-time funds have been removed from last year, not budgeted into this year, except where appropriate in Title I. We have some carryover that we're unable to unbudget this year and roll that into next year. But other one-time funds have been removed. Looking at really the programs staying within their resources and not looking at additional contributions except for within special education, where those current estimated contributions are for regular special education about $4.7 million, and then the workability program with $40,000. And then home to school transportation having that additional estimated contribution of almost $800,000. We do continue to see the 60% increase. We'll know what that actual number is once the state calculates principal apportionment for the fall. So we'll have those numbers for second interim to make that 60% transportation allocation and what that will be. As we look at the MYP and the unrestricted, we continue to see that structural deficit, although going down over the next subsequent years, with the banking on ADA is going to come in, and enrollment's going to be there, ADA is going to be there. So we'll continue to monitor that and see where that's happening. So unrestricted, 22.2 million and projected right now for next year, the next subsequent year, almost 23.6, and then 25.2, and expenditures still exceeding what we're bringing in. And if you just look at the expenditures, you got to add in those additional contributions that take that over what our revenue is. Looking at the restricted side of the funding, we see we still have we're spending down a little bit of those carryover dollars that are still in there from the various programs. Looking at 26-27, there's a slight increase in that, but we still need to do some shifting of funds expenditures for 25-26 from general fund into parcel tax. We have about 150,000 that of salaries that need to be moved over and budgeted that way. Routine restricted maintenance went up about $53,000. That shifts in how much contribution is made based off of total district expenditures and meeting that 3% reserve into routine restricted maintenance. And then the Prop $28 we need to address. Staffing and current budgets are there and carrying forward, but the new money's particularly coming in, and then what additionally, if anything, needs to be funded through Prop 28. So that's where you see that. So as we do, but the final budget, that those restricted dollars will change a little bit. As we look at the combined budget there, we see a combined deficit continuing throughout this next budget cycle. Fund balance is starting at almost 10.8 million, going down over this budget cycle down to 4.6. And then you see kind of where our unappropriated amounts continue to go down. And as part of the fund balance set asides, our unappropriated dollars, we look at our statement of reserve requirements, reserve transparency, and setting aside from that ending fund balance, we have the 200,000 for reserves for textbooks, and then a set aside for special education as part of that ending balance there in the green and of line 2. And then that's leaving us with that 4.2, almost 4.3 of unappropriated for 25-26, going down to 2 million in 26-27, and then almost 700,000 in 27-28. And as we just continue to look at next steps, continue to update the final budget, any continual last little moving parts that need to happen, and completing this year's budget plus next year's budget, and getting ready for September's new budget and unaudited actuals that will be coming forward. Really working on the estimated actuals and really getting this budget and this current year's budget in line, and hoping not to have this huge fallout that we have typically seen. Just really getting the budget in line as much as we can, and we don't have this huge swing that generally has happened in the past. And then we'll bring back on the 25th a final budget for adoption, and then start the whole cycle of painting the bridge over again. I like that analogy.
I have a question. On the fund balance slide, I can see that there's the beginning balance, end balance for the next 3 years. And then there's a reserve and basically several reserves that we need to hold. So really the available cash in the fund balance is the 4.2 and the 2 and the 700,000.
Yeah, to where it's those additional funds to where we need to, you have the flexibility of then setting those aside as to the various priorities.
So unappropriated could be available to be appropriated.
Yeah.
You could say.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
We have to be careful. Yeah. Other questions or comments? Sure.
Hey, everyone. Thank you for saying that we're going to be checking on staffing before just putting in a number that we're eliminating. We all know the kids show up, we need staff to cover them. My question is, it looks like we're estimating an increase of over 40 students to the district for the next school year. And then I'm looking at the staffing, and we're reducing by 3.4 at the high school while seeing a considerable increase at the consortium. Is that where we're seeing the increase in student enrollment for next year? Thank you.
So the consortium is having an increase in enrollment. I think they have 25 and estimating 35 for next year, and continue, and they're expanding extra classrooms. And then we did staffing for, I have to look at the number, for the high school based off of the demographic study of where they're at. For the out years, really looking at next year about 1,500 students at Annalee, and then 64, I believe it's 64 we have at Laguna with 4 teachers, and then the 30 for AIA. Mhm.
That's max.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That answer your question? Kind of. Okay. Any other questions? Otherwise, we're going to vote on approving.
That was it.
We're not going to vote.
Just public hearing.
I'm sorry. Oh, it's a public hearing. Got it. Anything else? Any other comments, questions? Okay, then we're going to move on. Facilities, that would be Jenny.
Do you want to give me a motion?
Consideration approval of resolution number, we think 30,
It's 30.
about futility.
Futility. You guys have seen this one on the
We
agenda.
need a motion.
Oh, sorry. I got all excited.
So moved.
I'll second.
Yay.
Be
I
futile.
love it. You've seen this on the agenda a couple different times. This is when we go over the 10% contingency on a project due to unforeseen circumstances. At the tail end of the Laguna High School campus beautification project, when we were completing the slurry seal, that's where they put the coating. It almost looks like black paint. Over the top, when we started to clear the weeds and prep for it, there were huge gaps, and we didn't account for that. So it was, I think, 18,000 and some change. So we're looking for you to approve that beyond the authority that we're given in public contract code. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions?
This is not a roll call, by the way.
All those in favor? Aye.
Cool.
Okay, you got it. Measure A bond and budget project updates.
All right, I'm going to do this in 3 minutes because I wrote everything down. I just want to make note that we have 43 days of summer. That's 43 work days of summer in order to accomplish an extreme amount of work with respect to construction, custodial cleaning, grounds, and maintenance. I want to just be very clear with everyone that Annalee is going to be a struggle for us this year. If you haven't been by or near or at the campus, everything is under construction. And so our custodial staff is going to do their best to address classrooms that weren't addressed last year. But there's going to be a large segment of that campus that doesn't get the deep cleaning that we're normally used to. And that's sheerly because we can't get to those classrooms. Just to give you guys a heads up at what we're doing, we're currently prepping the El Molino campus for the AIA. We're going through classrooms that haven't been gone through since we consolidated, and we are really cleaning out and cleaning up those spaces. Our custodial team is spending the majority of the month of June at this campus and preparing the new snack bar facilities, the cafeteria, additional science classrooms, and just making sure that this campus is really ready. We also have the F building, which is currently under construction. You've seen the temporary fence if you came in. That's the HVAC and roof replacement. The Laguna campus beautification project is complete. They just finished the last portion of the painting today. We're also working on some additional signs. Those have been ordered, but we're working also with Greg and others as the new school, and they merge together to figure out where appropriate signage is going to go for both entities, as well as looking into the wayfinding signs. That's a new word for me. Just to address people who were here earlier, yes, we're aware that the tennis courts are a little bit of a concern at this particular campus. There's some challenges that are unique to our campus on how that's the lowest portion. We have contacted not one, not two, but 3 different vendors. And because it's summertime, there's not likely anyone who's going to be responding to us in a very quick amount of time. But we are looking into addressing that. Annalee High School is under siege with contractors. They are everywhere. The small gym, the main gym, CTE construction continues. I think if anyone was there on Friday, you would have, I guess, I was like, were you guys here at 10 o'clock on Thursday night waiting for graduation to be done? Because it looked like a complete different place at 8 o'clock in the morning. Everything. We're doing the library refresh. We're really excited about doing that. Student Services Center is getting painted on the exterior to match the new portable color, which we really like. Phase 2 of the temporary portable restroom, which is our first gender neutral restroom, is well underway. The district office roofing, HVAC, painting, and dry rot repair starts on the 23rd. We'll be relocating district offices up to the Student Services Center. So when I say everything is under construction, I'm not joking. There is everything. We're really excited because we started to work with Heidi and King Consulting on going after Prop 2 grants, which is CTE funding. If we're looking at all 4 of our CTE pathways, it would be roughly $12 million to the district if we were awarded everything. That's all facility money. It goes back into our bond program. It allows us to do more projects. And my last note, tariffs are real. They're no joke. This week alone, $225,000 in change orders due to price increases on materials and supplies. And it is affecting the local markets in an obscene way. I've never seen costs change so dramatically from day to day. And I just would be remiss if I didn't say that here to you guys. We were smart enough and wise enough to put additional funding into these projects to account for the cost escalations related to tariffs. But I was just shocked in 2 days that I was approving $225,000 worth of change orders just for cost increases. And so I don't know how many of you guys recognize that in your day-to-day. I know anyone in the trades is seeing it, but we are getting notifications and alerts hourly of the volatility in the market. So we're very excited. We have a very busy summer ahead of us, and I look forward to really seeing the transformation of the facilities when all of the students and staff return.
Thank you. It's a lot to manage and we appreciate it. Okay, we are at an item in the agenda that says future meeting date. And that would be June 25th here. Without further discussion, we're adjourned.